you wave?
Huh? Where were
Will
you?
wave?
Oh, was that you pulling in the parking lot?
Yes.
Oh, it was? I couldn't see because of the glare on the windows or
Yeah, right.
or something.
Yeah.
I had no idea who that was. I just saw somebody wave.
Yes, time to renew the driver's license.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Anyway, good morning. Happy New Year.
Yeah,
Nice having your sister around.
yeah.
Lovely wedding.
Yeah.
Good you didn't trip on down the aisle.
Not on the way up anyway. Everybody was teasing me about tripping on the way up, so then on the way out I fake tripped. So they could all have a,
There's the earlobe. Okay.
yeah.
Anyway, have a good day.
All right, yeah. Unless you want to stay for the meeting, it starts now.
Oh, really?
We'll be talking about drainage.
There are so many things that, I might have an
It's all
opinion on that you wouldn't want to know.
It's just like
anything
Christmas trees, it's all tempting, I don't know where to start.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I have so much to do at home.
Yeah, it's all right. Well, all right, okay, I'll understand this time.
There's still less to eat.
Yeah, we still got a little left to floating around too. We were making it at the same time you were, so. Yeah,
And Chris making it.
yeah, I was just talking to her about it. She was just in here, so. But I had heard then that she was making it with you, so.
She's talked about it for years, but.
Yeah.
It's always fun with somebody, and this is the first year, and I can't even tell you how many years I haven't made it with Hugh,
Oh, yeah,
because he took over when Jim died,
yeah,
and he is very persnickety.
there.
He's not even sure his mother rolls it right.
Oh, growing's a science. That is,
We've got a ringer, my son,
oh, is that right?
perfectly round every
Oh,
time.
is that right?
You're kidding. What's the fun in that?
Yeah.
You have to have at least one Australian.
I like eating the mess out.
Australia. There you go.
He's like a machine.
We had a few.
He's got one job, he does it much
See you
better.
later.
Happy New Year, George.
Yeah, you too.
Well, should we start the meeting? Start the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll consider for approval the minutes and agenda.
Make a motion to approve the minutes and agenda.
Second.
Had a motion from Jensvold and a second from Smith to approve the minutes and agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Discussion with possible action regarding COVID-19 policies. And Julie said she was going to be gone this week. Yeah.
I think she did, yeah.
And so on that part of it, I suppose we have to discuss our policies for another month. I'll be willing to extend the policies for one more month on the COVID-19 for the employees.
We're probably gonna need to look at it because the CDC has changed their,
Oh, the 5-day
yeah,
without a positive test.
yeah, but I need to talk to Kelsey. So,
Trying to think, so our first meeting of the year is gonna be on the 2nd. That wouldn't be too bad just to do it then, would it? Just table that till next week, find out from Kelsey. All right. Anything else on COVID? I know the availability of rapid tests are not very plentiful. That gets to be a political issue. Consider setting organizational meeting for January 3rd, 2022 and canceling the January 4th, 2022 meeting. So every year we, at the first business day after New Year's, we get together and do our cash count and then do our organizational. There's nobody to be installed this time, so we'll do our appointments to committees that day. Do we know of any changes we have to make on those?
Are there any vacancies or?
Yeah, so I was wondering if somebody, sometimes we lose a person or two.
I can have Lindsay punch out a list
Yeah,
of the committees.
yeah, maybe we have those bills.
Okay.
So we would start at what, 7:45 is it, or
I think that's when we usually start,
to do the cash count meeting, or 7:45?
7:50, I don't know, let me look.
It's always been a quarter to, if I remember.
Yeah,
So January 3rd, 7:45.
that gives us enough time to get around, do the cash count as people are opening up, and we have to go public health and then out to the law enforcement center. So I'll make a motion to set the organizational meeting for January 3rd, 2022 with cash count at 7:45 and cancel the January 4th, 2022 meeting.
I'll second that.
A motion from Derby and a second from Smith to set the organizational meeting for next year. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Consider for approval agreement with Lake Mills for mutual precinct boundary agreement. Is something to change in Lake Mills, or it's just a perfunctory thing we have to do? Okay,
It's just something we do every year.
something new probably.
Every 10 years.
I
Oh,
was gonna say, because I don't remember reading that one before.
I don't remember it 10 years ago, but then,
I understand.
I can remember 40 years ago.
Yeah, I remember what happened.
So you want to make that motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with Lake Mills for the mutual precinct boundary agreement.
I'll second the motion. Motion from Smith, second from Derby, to approve the agreement with Lake Mills for mutual precinct boundary agreement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Right? All those opposed? Motion carries. Consider for approval agreement with Forest City for mutual precinct boundary agreement. Now, did that one change a little, or?
I need all three of those signed, please.
Does the change in the boundaries have anything to do with this agreement?
Okay, so say that again?
We had some changes in the Forest City area for the boundaries, right?
No, this is just because, this is kind of like the same thing with the Lake Mills one. This is because we have, shared precinct. So Bill's precinct comes into
West side.
D3. So,
Susan's comes in on the east side probably.
Because you're looking ahead at number 6 for the error made. Or is that a different, no, it's Forest City for precinct.
I don't know.
One's mutual precinct agreement, this one's precinct agreement. City and county boundary.
Does that mean we're moving the county boundary?
Yes, we're finally getting the top tier of
No.
Hancock.
That's a new plan.
Yeah,
We can start that rumor right now.
so Winnebago's finally in Winnebago.
But we're still on number 5.
Yeah,
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with Forest City for mutual precinct boundary agreement.
I'll second it.
On a motion from Derby and a second from Jensvold to approve the agreement with Forest City for mutual precinct boundary agreement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
okay, tell me who did the Lake Mills one?
The Lake Mills. The Lake
Oh,
Mills
Lake
was
Mills
Susan
one?
and me.
And the Forest
Forest
City?
City was me and Bill.
Okay, so you haven't done 6 yet?
Nope.
So the census drew our boundaries wrong. So we're working on fixing that, but until then, we have to have this agreement between us and the city to,
So we're assuming the boundary that they made a mistake on was the one that should have been corrected back in 1855 or so, when
I don't-
Winnebago County line should have been another mile south.
I don't think so.
That's the one.
I'm
It's
sure
a-
you're right.
It's a very small area. It's actually, it's right here. It's in this corner up here.
Okay.
It's where Dwayne Moe used to live. There's a Strom that lives there now.
Okay.
And it was excluded back when they did the annexation. For some reason, the census included it in there. So we just have to get it fixed. And it's included in the ordinance because it's not fixed yet, so we'll have to do another ordinance when it is fixed to exclude it, or to include it in the counties again, because it's excluded right now.
This doesn't need to be stamped, just signed by Terry.
So you need a motion on number 6 then?
I will make a motion to approve the agreement with Fort City for precinct agreement for error made by Census Bureau on city and county boundaries.
I'll second it.
And a motion from Derby and a second from Smith to approve the agreement with Fort City for precinct agreement for error made by Census Bureau on the city and county boundary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Consider, let's see, that has to do with 7. So we'll go to Scott. Morning, Scott. We're ready for you. All right, thanks.
This one needs to be stamped approved, I assume.
No,
Does it need to?
No.
Look at it.
no. That's ordinance, so you don't do any stamping on that.
It's just for looking at.
It's just for signing.
There's no place to sign.
Yes, there is.
There is.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another page. Just by Terry though.
So does this mean this will be the 42nd ordinance we have, or is this replacing an ordinance?
This will replace an ordinance, but it's 42nd.
But there's more ordinances than that, right? No.
It's brand new ordinance, huh? That was kind of a pain, huh? If they didn't have it right, then you'd have to do all this? I mean,
Yeah,
Does that happen often?
I've never had it happen before, but I've only done this one other time, so.
Sure.
And thank God the census is only every 10 years, right?
Yeah. And then you wonder how accurate it was with, I mean, I know some
With COVID.
census workers personally that worked on it, and it was a real disaster, you know.
With COVID this year, it wasn't
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, nobody's gonna go knock on doors, and nobody's gonna answer doors. So normally you would have to have multiple readings at different times then, I mean,
Usually in ordinance, you have 3 readings, but the time frame with this is so compressed because of when they got the information to us and how the deadline, and there's not time. So we have to skip the readings or waive the readings 2 and 3 for this.
Which in lots of cases we do anyway.
Yeah,
Unless it's controversial.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this isn't controversial, I wouldn't think. It's,
what time is that meeting tomorrow?
9,
Is it at 9?
the count board.
And is it at,
it's here.
oh, it's here.
Yeah, we did it last year down at TSB just to spread out.
Oh, that's not where it normally is.
Usually they take the table and
Yeah.
we sit out there.
Okay.
Wayne,
Well, do you want to look at
Big Shropshire.
the pay set for Dave Randall?
so it's complete. Okay, let's do that while we're waiting. Consider for approval pay application number 3 for Randall Construction on the roof project.
So that's the whole packet. It's actually got the pay app 3, it's got the retainer that we'll wait on to pay, and then it's got the statement of final completion that you'll also sign today in there.
So the retainer we hold till when?
I think it's 30 days. From the signing of the final completion.
Retainer that represents like 5% or something, is that it?
Something like that.
So it would be about that. No, it says right there, retainer 5% of completed work. Plus you have to do it to read.
So Kevin hasn't found any things that have to be addressed.
There will be another bill for the extra stuff that they had to do. They had to do some more work on the clock tower. There's some bricks that needed to be filled in, and while they had the lift here, I told them to go ahead and do it.
Outside of the project.
Yep. So there's be about $25,000 worth of stuff that needed to be done. And since it's probably about that much to get a lift in, I told them to go ahead and do it while they were,
Makes sense to do it while it's here.
yeah. and they needed, some extra copper flashing and some different things, and so,
This need to be stamped approved?
yeah,
It's got signature spots on it.
there is, but I would just go ahead and stamp that front page.
Bill's anxious to do some stamping today because it'll be a while till he does it again.
My babies.
Should have them gold plated initially.
Yeah, Willie gets a stamper. When Bill retires, we're gonna make him a gold-plated
Yeah,
stamper.
Willie gets well, I get a stamper. Yeah, I get an outdated stamper probably. You don't wanna give them away until they're outdated.
Sure.
But we'll have to make it with an ergonomic handle.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Custom made.
yeah, pretty.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the F3.
I'll make a motion to. Which one are we on?
13.
Super approval payout for, yeah, that's right, that's correct. Number 3 from Randall Construction.
I'll second.
A motion from Jensvold and a second from Smith to approve the pay app number 3 for Randall Construction. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. And consider signing statement of final completion for courthouse re-roof project. I'll make that motion to sign the statement of final completion for courthouse re-roof project.
I'll second it.
On a motion from Derby and a second from Jensvold. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries.
Morning.
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 What do you got for us today?
Don't have too much to report other than the guys made a couple rounds yesterday. With the kind of, I don't know what you call it, blowing and freezing rain through the evening and a little bit of snow almost. So they made a couple rounds, put a little material down, and things shaped up by the afternoon, even by late morning really. I think they did everywhere else too, just because of temperatures, but it was worth the effort to go out and kind of get a head start on it.
As I was driving in this morning, I was thinking about them. I was appreciative of that, and also that it's a big responsibility, keeping those roads safe. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think the trick for yesterday was, how long until Mother Nature will, clear the roads themselves, and how much do we want to try and accelerate that process. It's always a tough one when you got some warmer temperatures or you got beaten sun on, and eventually it'll work itself out, but you need to have an icy morning and have problems in the meantime. So.
Anything else?
That's all I got for my general report.
Do you guys have any questions for the engineer? All right. Move on to consider for approval a resolution to purchase equipment for the secondary road.
All right, so I didn't get anything sent out to you guys. I have some information to walk through pretty slowly today. So if you have a public hearing at 9:30, we can start on this, but probably won't get through it all, and I'll just stick around. 4-day weekend, we don't get as much work done. Who'd have thought? Okay, so today we're talking about fiscal year 2023, so this upcoming budget, which we haven't even worked on yet, right? We're talking about the purchase of a motor grader today, which is the resolution that I put together. In the memo, I've kind of laid out a few things. What our fleet looks like right now, what the lead times are on motor graders, what our plan is for this upcoming budget, as well as a really rough overview of the next 5 years, and then some history on how big our budget's been in the recent history as some context for going forward. So if we start at the top there, motor graders are about 10 months, they're telling us. So if we ordered one today, you know, we'd get it October of 2022. This memo talks a little bit about trucks as well. At this point, truck dealers aren't taking orders on trucks, so we're not able to really make any headway on that. So our motor grader fleet, in the winter we have 10 routes. Remember, we used to have Oshkoshes, don't have those anymore, so all 10 routes are now motor graders. 7 of those run full-time in the summer, 3 of them are mostly winter. And then we have the 2 standbys that run gravel routes if something breaks down. And those also have some different utilities that run through the summer, like our shouldering machine, certain things that take kind of special hydraulic hookups and different things that are set up for those. So we kind of run them periodically in the summer for certain things. But the 7 full-time graders get about 700 hours a year because they run summer and winter. And then the 3 winter ones, very variable. I would say anywhere from 100 to 300 hours a year, just depending on how many times they got to go out in the winter. The standbys would get about the same because same deal. If something's broken down, they run in the winter a lot. And if we have a heavy winter, there's always more downtime for machines. Just, you know, the harder the winter, the more they break down. So those 12 graders are shown in that first table there of what their hour meters are. Historically, we have used 12,000 hours as a target replacement, and since I've been here, we've always had several over that target. And part of that's because once they get old enough, they move from the summer-winter combination to then just a winter and then eventually a standby. So they'll progressively get fewer hours per year. So we have 3 graders over 12,000 hours, with the highest one being 12,820 hours. And I've also shown you what I think the hour meters will look like in about a year and a half, basically after this coming budget year is over. Because at that point we'll be, you know, looking at the next budget and so on. So because we have 3 over 12,000 hours and 1 pretty close to that, I think it's worth getting a replacement machine this coming fiscal year.
So, and you're looking at straight out purchase and then we would sell on auction or we would trade?
Yep, this
Trading one in here.
Yep, this current quote and resolution is including the trade of our oldest grader. The oldest grader is that 1996 Cat 140H grader. You know, 1996, so that makes it 25 years old.
By the time we get it, it'll be 27 or 23 years old. You know, 27 years old, right?
So we did, it's not in here, but we did do, you know, some auction searching for what graders are going for. And we think on private sale, we could maybe get 75 at the very most, based on what they're going for on auctions. I guess I shouldn't say private sale. If we went through an auction service, I think we could get maybe 75, and they've given us a number of 70.
Is that after their percentage or before?
No, that's the gross number on the auction
Those
site,
numbers,
so.
so they're for your percentages.
Are most of those sellers, fee, or is it just buyers? Or is it buyers premium and sellers fee?
They vary, so I really didn't do the math for each one, I guess, but, we looked at 100 sales of something similar, and they're all 50 to 70, I'd say. For some reason, I would think they'd be selling for high, but, even back at the last auction, we sold one for about 52, I think it was, not great. I think if we listed it in a equipment trader magazine or something like that, we could maybe get more than, there's fees you pay, and then the time gets, you're dealing with different buyers trying to get things sold and having people show up and pay and all that kind of stuff. You basically organize.
We're gonna have to table the discussion till after our 9:30 public hearing. All right. 9:30 a.m. public hearing for precincting plans and for the first reading of ordinance number 42. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second that.
A motion from Derby and a second from Smith to open the public hearing for precincting plans and for first reading of ordinance number 42. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. So the public hearing is open. So
Yep.
we had slight changes in Fort City mostly, or in the rural too, or
Yeah, we had some slight changes to the, I should just go get the map.
Yeah.
Back.
I like pictures.
We each have one.
Oh, we do? Pay attention.
So he was trying to pass the buck.
Well, they didn't have any pictures, so I decided I'd give it to someone else.
And color though.
Pictures.
There is
Yeah,
color.
colors,
You know,
tables,
it's just like, golly, what did I do with this?
tables full of numbers, that's like a picture to me.
All right. This is that lovely little area that we discussed earlier where the Census Bureau had the mistake. So there's that. This is the change we made over in Mount Valley, and then you can just tell where Bell's area is just a little bit different on this side. So that's the only changes that we made.
So Susan lost a little bit and I gained a little bit, is that how it worked?
Yep.
Sure.
Big responsibility, Bill.
Well, that just goes to show that everybody's leaving my district to go to the more popular ones.
Yeah.
So there it is. That's what it is.
It's in color.
What it ended up.
Can we get copies of that?
It'll be online.
You can go down to Sue and ask her for a copy if you want it.
She'll be posting it online too on Beacon.
It'll end up being on Beacon.
I have a map of that at home, but it says Willie Woobin on it. That's how old it is.
Yeah, yep.
It shows the 3 supervisors and gives the number of their district.
Yep. And these are the new 4 city boundaries,
Not that I can do that.
which I don't have anything to do with that, but makes them a little more square, which is kind of nice.
So breaking it down in those colors, I think the pink would be District 1, and that green in the center would be District 1, and the peach would be Bill's? And
No.
Then the green at the bottom?
This is Bill's here, the green.
Oh, going around it? I thought he
Yeah.
came in farther.
No. This is all Terry's,
Okay,
this is Terry's, and then this is Susan.
yeah.
Although, when we draw these maps, we're not really drawing supervisor districts, we're drawing our precincts. The LSA is who is drawing the supervisor districts. So, once we approve these, we'll get this to the Secretary of State's for approval, and then they'll send it to the Legislative Service Agency, and then they will draw the supervisors or districts, dependent on our precincts.
Because they don't trust us because it might be gerrymandering.
Right.
Even though
So,
we did a good job last time.
yes, so they will draw our supervisor districts. So we don't know how the supervisor districts will actually look.
Oh.
So what I just said might be,
So when we looked at these sheets that have the populations per precinct district,
mhm,
I didn't add them up to see how evenly they came out.
they're within 1%.
Okay.
But if the LSA, if they can come up with a different way with 1%, they might do that. I don't know that answer.
And we have the right to reject their first,
You do. You can reject one time.
because if they're gonna make a lot of work for us, why would we accept it, you know? Just because they have a whim. It's working now, why change much?
They're always trying to wield that sword of authority.
What bothers, I'm new to this process, Lynn Higginson, by the way.
Yeah.
I think what bothers me is that we've approved this, but we're gonna send this off to somebody else that doesn't know us. And they could come back and just mess this whole thing up. So for instance, Supervisor Smith could be in somebody else's district. And I'm not sure why they're doing that. Why not just leave it in our hands or the county's hands? Why does the state want to get involved when they don't want to get involved in anything else?
I don't foresee ours being changed much, just for the simplicity of them getting their job done. I'd be surprised if they changed it much. There are places where they've had challenges in the bigger population areas and the bigger population change areas, and that's where probably they'll focus more on.
It's also where most of the shenanigans happen. You know, I had the same question as far as why it just seems like something that we should have authority over.
Yeah. Because they voted for, you guys. But now they could vote for somebody else that they don't know.
And the last time we had this process, I was on the pre-existing committee along with two other people, not two supervisors. So it's just one representative on it. So we had to keep it, there were strict rules. You couldn't look at how it's going to benefit me or anything. And it really didn't change that much to her.
There are places that do that all the time to benefit certain people. So how do they get away with it?
It's challenged. So, I guess we'll look at it seriously when it comes back, I guess. It doesn't change much.
How long does that process usually take?
Everything has to be done by January,
Everything or our part of it?
everything.
Okay.
The
so they
precincts have to be set. Oh, no, another calendar. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's January 5th or 15th or 12th or,
Wow, that's not very.
it's very short
A week or
timeline.
two.
That's why was pressing to get this done very quickly.
That one new up when
Yeah, I'm thinking it was the 5th or the 12th. It was very quick turnover. Like, we got the information and we had to move.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was fast.
I also don't like it when things get rushed. Because that's when quick decisions are made, sometimes without all the information.
So they better have a good picture so we can understand it.
Yeah, there you go. I want pictures.
Because this, reading all the legal descriptions is a lot tougher to understand.
Trust me, I wrote the legal descriptions and then I had everyone in my office proofread it and then I had the assessor's office proofread it, and so the legal descriptions are correct, but it's been it's always an exciting process when we do the census. And then we're not done, because once we approve all this, then we go, before the, what's the next thing we do, the caucus, we have to get everything changed in iVoters and send out all new cards to everybody in the county.
Identifying what district they're in, or
Identifying their new precincts, and I know we have, one of our precincts is gonna change because the senior center doesn't want us in their building anymore, and so we're gotta find a new place, and so it's,
all right. Any other comments on the public hearing? Other concerns from you, Lynn?
The only concern was, I assumed you just split it down in thirds, but that isn't.
It's gotta be by
learning
population.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah, you said within 1%.
it's 1%.
I think we were close to that last time.
Yeah, what did I put? You've got the numbers there. I think they're closer than 1%. It's very close.
I am pleased that we did not lose much population.
Yeah, that was good.
I am pleased.
I'll just give you all this.
Yeah, it's in the ordinance.
So once we get that back, we have the right to dispute it
One time,
one time, okay.
from the LSA.
Because I think the congressional districts, did the LSA do that, or is that a federal thing? When they did that?
Doesn't the state do that? The state
Well, I know the legislature approved that, and they rejected the first drawing. And then they went back and had to accept the second one. I don't know if they had to or they did. But that was, I don't know if the LSA does that or if the feds do the congressional districts.
So Lynn, what's your biggest concern about it?
I think it's fine the way it is. I just assumed, well, it is fine the way it is. I just don't want them coming in there and changing it. So I don't want, you, for example, having to go into Bill's territory because they don't know you and Bill's people don't, and they voted for you guys. They didn't vote for somebody else. But no, it's, the way it is fine. It seems like the state always wants the county to do more things. Well, now they've taken this out of your hands. That's kind of a contradiction in terms. But I understand why.
They want us to do it when we have to pay for it.
There you go.
That's when they want us to be in control.
Sure. That makes sense.
We didn't have any written comments or anything?
Nope.
All right.
No one's on the phone?
Any further comments from anybody on the phone? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
On a motion from Derby and a second from Jensvold to close the public hearing for the re-precincting plans. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Consider waiving the second and third readings of ordinance number 42 for that plan.
And this is just because of the close
Timeline.
timelines.
And I don't think there's a lot of controversial to it, so might as well get the process going.
I make the motion to waive second and third reading of ordinance number 42.
I'll second it.
I got a motion from Smith and a second from Jensvold to approve the waiving of second and third readings of ordinance number 42. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Consider passing ordinance number 42.
I'll make a motion to pass ordinance number 42.
A second.
Got a motion from Jensvold and a second from Smith to pass ordinance number 42 on the adoption of the ordinance with suspension of requirement for 3 readings, and has to do with the re-precincting and all the lines going with it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, back to road grader discussion.
Mhm. So we were talking about what we have for a new grader, less trade. Guess I maybe could have started there, but the quote is for $378,568.22 with a $70,000 trade allowance for 1996 Cat 140H grader. That's the oldest one in our fleet and the highest hours. The new machine would be a 140 all-wheel drive. They kind of changed the way they do the numbers on the graders, but similar to what we have been getting.
Have all the most recent ones been all-wheel drive? Yeah, it looks like
Yeah,
they have.
yep. We have all-wheel drives all the way back to
10.
to our 2005 143H. Still 5 140s. One of these will be traded.
And it would be it's a lot of weight out front over an axle that's not driving if you get into the position.
Yeah, I'm told it's really a really nice feature for plowing snow specifically.
I assume it's hydraulic all-wheel drive.
That's what I understand. Yeah.
Yes, I never noticed a drive shaft running all
Yeah.
the way. It'd be hard with that blade there. So.
Yeah. I got some information about our truck fleet in here. The summary is our truck fleet looks pretty good. I think as good as it's looked in many years in terms of age and hours on the machines. So I think we'll be looking to turn over that highest hour plow truck next year. But for now, I think things look okay. So this coming fiscal year, we won't be looking to buy a new plow truck, and I don't know if we'd be able to get one anyway. We put together, Ethan and Aaron and I had put together a 5-year plan for equipment. This is really difficult to do, as each machine has its own personality and repair needs, and every few months things change. So as just a point of getting something on paper and having, in our minds together what we need to be thinking about for the next few years and possibly having to juggle 1, 2, and 3 years back and forth, this is what we got on paper. So we put, maintainers, trucks, pickups, mower tractors on there. All the other miscellaneous construction equipment, not really on there. So we'll just kind of have to see how those age and, if there's ever a right time to replace those. The other thing we'd like to include in this coming budget is something to replace our Mack truck, which pulls our low boy belly dump. But again, trucks are not being able to be ordered right now, so that's a decision for later. Below that is budget for new equipment for the last, I got about 10 years on there, 9 years. give you an idea of what we've spent to get our fleet where it currently is. The 5-year replacement schedule doesn't really improve the fleet. It kind of keeps up with depreciation. So if you see over the last 10 years, we've spent anywhere from $175,000 to $682,000, and a lot of that depends on when we could get things and moving money from one year to the next. But the trend is, based on those years, that we would be spending about $600,000 in the upcoming fiscal year. I would expect to propose about $450,000 in the budget, so not quite as much as we've kind of been trending toward. All that to say is a new grader fits pretty easily into what we would expect the budget number to be for this coming fiscal year, if you're at all concerned that we wouldn't have enough money in the budget for that. So my recommendation today, if you're comfortable with it, would be to approve the purchase of the new motor grader, and so that we have it ordered and coming kind of toward the middle of the coming fiscal year. We got this quote back, let's see, what's the date on the quote? December 13th, and it says it's valid for 30 days, but we were kind of given the impression that next year they'd have a pretty good price increase, with everything lately here in the calendar year coming to an end. So we think there's a little bit of urgency there. In order to know if they'll hold this to the next meeting, I'd probably have to call them, which I'm willing to do. But I think we're comfortable with the purchase price. We're comfortable with the trade allowance they've given us. We think it's the right time to replace the machine, and we're anticipating to have plenty of budget to cover it. With that, I'll answer any questions you have.
Well, I think the traded value seems to be fair. We don't know what it's going to do in the next 10 months, but they're locking in that price now. And we don't have to do anything to it to get it ready to trade in, really, like we would with an auction for you.
That's right, too.
Prep it.
No painting or anything, just
Those liquid
hang the
overhauls.
equipment on it and send it on down the road,
I think it probably fits into your budget pretty good. How about you guys?
Scott had too much fun preparing all the charts and stuff, but it is helpful.
Yeah, I mean, part of that's for your benefit, but also for mine too, to have everything all in one place.
It's hard for a crew to be efficient with machinery that's old and breaks down all the time, so.
And what is it, 27 years old?
It will be by the time we trade it in. Will this be considered a 2022 or 2023?
They
It's
didn't
22.
specify on there, so maybe they don't know
Yeah.
what they can get, or if they
Might
were-
end up being a 2023 at that time of the year.
Yeah. And Susan, for some more background for you, I don't have it on here, but I've done a lot of work with our fleet management system, tracking all the costs for our graders, and you can plot the repair costs and the depreciation costs on a graph, basically, and find like the sweet spot of when you should trade them. And those numbers are really hard to make perfect, but I think 12,005 hours or 12,000 hours really is that spot where, we're getting well out of warranty, of course, and this is the time where we start to run risks of major engine trouble, transmission, or rear end, major cost repairs.
So, do you guys do, I can understand why you may not do an engine, you want some warranty on that. But like rear ends and stuff, do you guys do them yourselves at the shop, or?
I think our guys can do anything. I mean, I know that we've disassembled, the entire back ends of graders to replace the differential, all in the middle of it all. I know that we've taken time and have the expertise to do those disassembly, reassembly.
You kind of lengthen that meeting point on the graph if you do some of the work yourself. It's when you're paying somebody well over $100 an hour to do it that you sort of go
Yeah,
backwards.
I mean, in those numbers, we figure our own labor rates at like 35 or 40, I think, so that's quite a bit different than the shop rate.
So when I fix my own truck, I figure it takes me 3 times as long, I'm still making over $30, $40 an hour for myself.
Yeah.
But I did not overhaul my own engine because I couldn't get any warranty, not even parts warranty. They won't give it to you unless you're a certified mechanic.
Oh. I do think the curve looks pretty flat in that location, so give or take 1,000 hours doesn't, make or break the decision. But, another thing to look at in the list is the target average. So not just the oldest machine we have, but of all those 7 or 10 running all the time, are they all getting kind of toward the top end, or are they, a spread among ages? And right now, I think our average is 7,600, and on the target, half of 12 would be 6,000, so a little bit higher than we'd like.
Well, soon we'll have 4 on this list that'll be over 12,000, and when you have to use 2 of those all the time in the winter.
Yeah. Some of those haven't put any hours on this winter, really. It's just, once we have actual snow in the ditches and built up and it starts to blow around, that's when you really start putting hours on. Unlike last winter, that really didn't happen very much. But some winters, you plow snow every day.
I'll make the motion to approve the resolution to purchase equipment for secondary road department.
I'll second it.
Got a motion from Smith and a second from Jensvold to approve the purchase of equipment for secondary road department.
There's a resolution in your stack, Terry, and then I'll give you one more so we can have duplicate.
Okay.
I believe. It's probably in between the memo and the quote. There we go.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries.
Well, thank you guys, and I apologize for not having the information to you sooner.
It happened again.
Like I said, hard to get much work done over those 4-day weekends.
All right. Up to drainage matters.
Thanks, Scott.
You're welcome. Hi, Chris, is ready for you.
Terry?
Yeah.
Before Scott leaves, can I speak, please?
Sure.
I'm not on the agenda, but you guys know I live on a B road in my 70th Avenue Road.
So we'll go back to, what was it? Number 10.
I've already had 2 kids stuck on that road this year. And, 11:30, 12 o'clock at night is a little bit offensive to me. And especially when they throw beer cans out and we get pulled out eventually. how do we fix this? Because I've had batteries out of my pickup put in my Ranger, I've had my Ranger used, the keys are not in it. Am I the only person that lives on a B road that has that problem? Right next to my house, 100 feet away. Now, I see two solutions. One is to plow it, or the other is to put a gate on the other end. And you don't need to lock it, just put a gate there, because there isn't, I'm not gonna get out and check and see if it's locked. And I can't believe at midnight, they'll check out. So how do we fix this? I've been told not to pull them out. I've been told not to approach them. My wife has been home and they've been stuck at 7, 8 o'clock at night.
It's a liability.
It's a safety issue for us. They've gotten in our house before. How do we fix this? The only person that needs to be on that road is Ron Abels, when he's farming. Any time of the year, he's got a building there. He's the only
That's right.
person that needs to be there.
That's right, yeah. I don't know what the solution is. I've talked to you about it in the past, and we haven't done anything.
It used to be different because there was an acreage on the west end of that road. And that would get full of snow too, but now it don't. So they can go down the Florence Park Road and head up our road.
For some reason, there just happens to be a few drivers a year who want to end up kind of where they
And it's
aren't
all
familiar
ages.
with the roads. and
It's
they
all
go,
ages. It isn't just young kids, it's older people that are on that road. I mean, I've had a lady call me, AAA to get pulled out. You're where? We can't get to you. And they couldn't. So they had to call the county to get a maintainer there.
I've got a pastor that came from New York, and he counts on Google to get him from point A to point B, and Google doesn't always send you on the right road.
Right.
Yeah, so how do we keep those people from driving where they don't know where they are and passing all the signs that say don't go there? Boy.
So the sign on each side just says level B maintenance road, right?
Enter
Yeah.
at your own risk.
Enter at your own risk. Yeah, I mean, just like all the other level Bs. None of the others are plowed. I wonder if it's just because he's on the corner, you know, and like they probably get stuck right away at the corner.
They're getting stuck on the road to the east of us as well. Pine Tree Road is what I call it.
Yeah.
But I don't care about that. They're far enough away, they're not bugging me.
Yeah, so it just must be that your house is close enough to where they get stuck that it's kind of become a nuisance. Yeah. And I haven't heard of this problem anywhere else. Not to say that it isn't a problem.
Is there additional signage that could be added to that would be helpful?
We got a sign out here that says they tow them away out of this parking lot if they park there, and they do it all the time. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
People don't get signs.
Yeah.
yeah, it's,
And we don't want to call the police because we're afraid then we're a target.
And the only
Because-
gated roads we have are level C.
Right.
I would think it'd be, like the call would be to law enforcement to, you know, then meet whatever needs they have.
But my
What's
fear
the-
is if they're at a bar Saturday night, 12:30, they're not.
well, and if you call the cops on the wrong guy and they get in trouble, some people come back and,
That's the problem.
they attack your property, not necessarily you, but it could be you also.
Yeah.
And, you just,
And I used to help these people, but I've been told not to. Because you never know today.
do you ever know any of them?
Last year I knew one, yes, and they came to the door, and I did help them. But no, I don't. These people are so close you can hear them talking. It's like you and I. And that's, don't come on my yard. I don't come on yours, don't come on mine.
It can be scary. Just ask Dean Anderson.
A gate would be great.
So what's the difference between a B and a C then? What's the actual criteria for
Yeah.
a gated versus a?
Well, level C roads are gated because only the abutting landowners have access to them. So the county has a key, and then each farmer that uses that road to have a key, and the road is locked pretty much year-round other than those times, or that's how it's supposed to be. Sometimes they get left open. B roads, we have an ordinance that dictates the level of service for A, B, and C. B roads they get, spot loads of rock and they get bladed a few times a year, but they're not allowed to get back to dirt roads. Whereas C roads are pretty much dirt roads. They would get, most years they wouldn't get any maintenance. Sometimes we have taken a maintainer out there to just kind of, fill in the wallowed out potholes, but we're just moving dirt around. So quite a bit of difference between, Bs look more like As than they do like Cs.
So the rules that we have in place, policies we have in place for B wouldn't actually allow for a gate on a B for in the winter, or would it?
That probably wouldn't be appropriate to have a gate on it. I would say you'd want to pass a resolution to change it from B to C and then sign it appropriately. Level C roads have different signs also. I think they say something to the effect of no trespassing.
It's one step short of vacating it.
Yeah, I can't think of just what the sign said. We only have maybe 4 miles of level C in the whole county, but they have, steel beams with steel gates on them and then a sign above them, like off to the side that says something like no trespassing and no maintenance, something to that effect. And then there's, some sort of reflective.
It wasn't that long ago they didn't have gates. A lot of people that end up going down them during deer hunting and stuff like that, they get stuck out there and then they're tearing up everything.
Well, we have people that like to mud on them.
Yeah,
They'll still go around the gates.
yeah.
So there is an ordinance, you can't put a gate on a level B.
Well, I can't tell you if it says that exactly, but it would prescribe what we're supposed to do with each level of service.
And who makes that decision?
Well, it's an ordinance passed by the board, so I'd have to dig that out and kind of get more familiar with what that looks like. I can send that out to you as well.
How many other instances do we have where there's a acreage where someone lives on it that's actually on a level B road?
There's a handful, and there's some even where we plow maybe a couple 100 feet to the driveway, like Wishwanson's always one that I think of, south of
Yeah.
Buffalo there.
Yeah.
And you have 2 driveways, right? One off the level B and one off the level A. So there's, I don't know, I would guess there's probably a dozen of those or so, where their primary access is off of A. And
If we were to decide to do something different here, you're kind of setting a precedence as far as, so I was curious on how many people are gonna come forward.
I agree.
Wanting the same thing, I mean, to me, the easiest solution just seems to, evidently they can make it up the first 3/4 of a mile or so, because it doesn't drift that bad. And then when it gets towards your acreage is where the problem is.
It starts at Ron Abel's Road and it just gets towards Cicely.
traffic coming from the west.
Yeah, from the east, they don't even try it.
Yeah, no, I've been there myself before and looked at it and decided not to.
I think over in Worth County, I saw where they make sure they pile snow at the end of the road.
We have some like
Well,
that.
and I've been told to do that, but I don't want to do that, but if you guys aren't gonna plow it, I just will put the snow on the road. I mean, Mark Johnson told me that, just put your snow on the road.
But I'm talking about the other end.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they don't get to your place.
Well, if the pile's high enough, they might not try and drive through it once they got there. That's, I'd like to say it's almost idiot-proof then, but there may be somebody who tries to drive over that too, but,
Could you plow in that other end? Like, you guys?
I don't know. It probably depends on how much snow the plow's carrying at that point.
lots
They
of
used to do it
places-
when Ron Abel's used that building a lot, they would plow just to his driveway and then turn around and go back. Yeah, used to.
Is that in the middle of the mile then?
No, 1/4 mile
Quarter mile from the west or east?
east, going past my place. My acreage is about 700 feet long probably. And he's got a building with a driveway behind that, so.
So I'm guessing if he was going in there in the winter, he would bring a snow blower or snow plow.
But we're not supposed to keep the road open.
I
No, but his access.
Right, right.
My guess is whatever he's got in there, he doesn't have to get out during the winter. I would guess it just sits there all winter long.
The other thing to think about is if there's a fire out at that building,
Yeah,
they have to get there.
That's what I was going to ask about emergency vehicles.
And they'd have to go past Florence Park then to get into the long way.
Yeah.
So,
And so that reflects on our level B policy, allowing for a fire truck to get there. Does he have electricity up there?
Pardon?
Does he have electricity up there?
no, not today. He's going to. He put a man cave in there, so he'll be there quite a bit, which is fine,
What was that, right?
which is fine.
Then the people that get stuck will go that direction instead of yours.
Well, then if he's gonna be there or something, maybe it's one of those occasions where we should just open it back up to a level A and take care of it.
Whoever grades that road, and I love them for it, do not punish this person. They grade that more than my level A road. He's up and down that thing all the time. I mean, I need to buy him food all the time, because he takes better care of that than 70th Avenue. So don't punish him for that.
I think it's make the sack problem.
No, he takes good care of it.
Either that or leave it level B and just blade it from the east going west until you get past Abel's place.
The
And
snow will
after
get
that, it
deep in
probably
there.
takes care of itself.
It will get deep in there. You know, it's inevitable, that'll get 4 or 5 feet deep after they plow it.
Would snow fences improve the situation there at all?
Maine's farm, the farm to the north, they used to have a fence there and that did help. But then they took the fence out. So. Just making you guys aware, I don't take any more of your time, but
So some of these level B roads, we do occasionally get out there and plow them.
Usually only if there's an emergency call, and the only thing I can remember is like electrical work from Heartland Power. We'll obviously, give them a pass so they can work on electrical stuff, and then sometimes we'll run them later in the spring, just to kind of,
Start the healing process.
yeah, right, get the last pile of snow off, and we don't think it's going to snow anymore, and the ground's hard enough where we can stay on top with our graders. Sometimes we'll make a round in the spring. Other than that, we don't go on level Bs.
But if Ron's going to be using this location, his location, more often, do we need to be looking at it that it shouldn't be a level B road anymore?
You could treat it probably two ways. One is like a new house where you would obviously change it. And one is like a hog building where we haven't to start. We'll look at the ordinance to see, but I don't think it spells out quite in detail, the criteria for whether it's level A or B based on, we have quite a few bin sites and machine sheds and things like that on level Bs.
Yeah.
We don't have any
Well, it's
occupied
like
wells.
this, once somebody gets a man cave, they're probably gonna use a lot. Driving out there.
And you would have people coming from both directions.
This thing this case here has a unique situation with people coming to his acreage and sometimes going in his house without permission. That most other locations, I've never heard of this before, so if there have been instances, it hasn't been before the board since I've been here.
and I'm glad to help these people, but I just don't know
Well, the difficulty is that you're not there always.
them. Right.
Too. So when you're gone, your house is
Yep.
susceptible.
But, when we had here a couple of years ago in March or whatever, I went out and pulled out a few of my friends. They got stuck between Rake and Buffalo, and there was people out there that I did not know that also, and I just look at those, in those new cars, you don't know where to hook to, you don't know what you're gonna break. I just told them, I don't wanna hook on there because I don't wanna break your car and be responsible for it. And,
One person that came to our door, he was so he was not sober, let's leave it there. But I just told him, he wanted to pay me, no, just don't take this road nowhere, just stay out of here. And I pulled him out, but I don't do that anymore.
Well, you know, it's, the older you get, the less you like going out in them now.
Right, yeah.
No doubt.
Anyway, thanks for your time.
All right.
See you guys tomorrow.
All right,
See you
yeah.
tomorrow.
Yep.
All right. Good seeing you.
Yes, we do.
So it's 9 or 9:30?
9.
Okay.
I'll share the ordinance with you at least, so
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting.
you've probably never seen that.
I
Maybe
have not.
none of you have, so I don't.
Maybe a updated list of the roads.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, a map of level B
map.
roads, sure.
Will the map have residences on it as well then, or not? Or who lives on them?
Let's see, what can we do?
The layers, I suppose you do from the,
Well, the B map that I was gonna send you is a PDF, but if we get into GIS and play with the layers, we could.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you could just print it out with, just like it is in the plat book, only have the level Bs designated on it somehow. Are the level Bs designated in the plat book?
No.
No, but I think Sue did
Yeah,
print the map of.
we have it in there,
Yeah.
so.
I would
let's
say
just think.
Probably possible.
We can maybe put the E911 address layer over top. I know I've done it with hog confinements laid over top of it.
it won't define whether somebody lives there or not, but it'll have an address.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, that wouldn't necessarily tell you if somebody lives there either. We don't keep a directory like the plat book does. We don't have a directory layer.
Person cross-reference.
Yeah, we can figure that out.
I'll see what makes the most sense. We'll
Once
play
we
with
know
it.
where they're at, we can look at that directory.
Once you start designating a B to an A, then it kind of changes the route for a plow and
Yeah, there's quite a few little
Oh, yeah, and all the
moving
hog
parts.
owners are gonna be very interested in that.
Don't they have to get out there during the winter?
People out their own way.
Oh, they do.
because they chose to be on a level B.
That's why they would be very interested.
Right, yeah.
Probably, this is before Susan was on the board, but if you remember, Kirk Helm was in for a request. This is kind of similar. He lives on the corner. One driveway goes onto level A, one to the level B, and the wind farm had just really put a lot of rock on the level B, so I guess for that reason, the board approved changing it back to a level A.
But we looked at the whole area and how it would improve the access to the
We were also looking at, I remember on that one, his truck traffic.
Right.
So he would be tearing up less road getting to the blacktop than he would be going the long way. Remember that also.
All right,
I'll get you some stuff.
all right, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Sorry for the delay on the drainage.
Oh, that's all right.
Just kind of came back at us.
No, we're good. Are you, we can wait till Scott's all done.
I know you have many important things.
Yeah, nothing to do with drainage
Okay.
today, but other work.
All right, anybody have any questions on drainage?
Nope.
All right,
All right. Well,
thanks.
thanks. You bet. And I won't be here next week, so
Okay.
we'll see in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Let's see. Weed Commissioners report.
So somebody fill me in on this food commissioner's report.
We have a weed commissioner, and they maintain the weeds on the county roads. And this is a report on what they've done in the last year for,
And who is the weed commissioner?
is it Rick Lilly or
Yeah.
is Robert actually the weed?
No, it's got Lily listed on there.
But he works under Robert, through
It's-
Robert's bug. Well, it's a separate-
Conservation takes care of it in a sense.
But they try to coordinate with the road grader drivers and county road guys, knowing where the problem areas are. They try to spray about every 3 years of each road, but sometimes there's more pressure on some roads than others, so they have to get the information that needs to be taken care of. You have some wind barriers at farm places that spread seed faster. So it grows quicker.
So I've noticed that Worth County must do a much better job than Winnebago County.
Weeds. It all depends on what weeds you're shooting for, because there's noxious weeds is what we're aiming for, I guess.
Yep.
We've had this discussion, with
Yes, we have.
what's a noxious weed and what's not, and what's
Yeah, cause
More
they
of a
don't
harm.
consider the parsnip or whatever it is a noxious weed.
I live close enough to Worth County that I notice it.
I'm not sure
A
whether
lot.
weed commission is, whether it's conservation or in the roads. Some counties just do it right through the roads.
There are times it seems that what they're spraying isn't being effective,
I agree. No,
or they're not hitting it, one or the other, I don't know which it is.
there's areas where buckthorn is bad too. So when it says a number 3 on which of the noxious weeds can be found in your county, under buckthorn, it says not known in my county. I can guarantee there's all sorts of.
I guess that'd be up to us to point it out, but
Yeah. So we spend almost $16,000 a year on roadside spraying.
chemical.
Yeah, on the purchase of herbicides.
And usually when you come up with a spot where you think needs to be taken care of, they've always gotten on it to take care of it.
One question says, how many times during 2021 was it necessary to serve a noxious weed notice? It was 8 times. Private.
I feel like the county areas are worse than the private areas, from what I see. But like you said, the fields aren't gonna have it because they're sprayed.
But if we have a concern that we should be taking care of the parsnip, it's gonna have to be a budget item probably to address.
Well, it certainly doesn't seem like they have them in Worth County, so it must be, maybe they've declared it a noxious weed and they're spraying for it. I used to get the report back from Robert because he said they were gonna do some test spraying in the county of some roads. I don't know which ones he did.
We can ask them soon at budget time.
Yeah.
Well, let's entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the weed commissioner's report.
I'll second the motion. Motion from Jensvold and second from Derby to approve the weed commissioner's report. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
anything back from county attorney on this item from,
Mandate.
You can go up and talk to her.
okay. You know if she's available today at all?
I don't know that answer. I know I think she had court today, but
Open forum. Anybody have anything for open forum? Last call for open forum.
oh, I got a thing for you to sign. Let's see. Excuse me. I went to my mother's for Christmas, and my mom and dad both had a cold, and I was not very happy with them.
These things happen.
Yeah, they could have warned me before I showed up, though, that they both had a cold.
You could have took your Z-Pack before you got there.
I probably wouldn't have went, to be perfectly honest.
Tied with band to the basement.
Brought him a plate,
Upstairs.
brought him a plate of food.
Yeah. Final call for open forum. No other business, we will stand adjourned.